What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 2021 for My Team Career Mode Season 3, Round number 16, the finale, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Yes, it is the final round of Season 3 of My Team Career Mode, and it's going to be an exciting one. As we start off here, we're going to adapt a bunch of parts for the rule change, but I will say, and I will go into this more in depth in the next part where, we do our pre-season video, but basically, there was a bit of a disaster going into Season 4. If you don't know, I changed my R&D to reduce for well, I've done it for a while in this season. I think I actually started doing it last season as well, possibly, because my team I was just upgrading way too quickly compared to the AI. So I put it to reduce to level it out a bit, and that seemed to work. It seemed to level things out. But then going into the next season, what ended up happening was I couldn't upgrade as much parts as the AI were able to, and in doing that, my team ended up going from being the quickest team to the second slowest by quite some margin. So basically what I've done is I've simulated through Season 4, and we're actually going to be starting the next season in Season 5, although I will still probably be calling it Season 4. Basically, we're just going to pretend that Season 4 never existed. I will explain it in more detail in the next video with the pre-season video for Season 4. But yeah, basically, some stuff went wrong. We've simulated through Season 4. We're actually going to be in Season 5, but we're still going to call it Season 4. So that's the basic gist of it. So this time around, though, it is the finale at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, a track that we haven't driven in the My Team Career Mode series so far, and a track that I haven't really driven in this game much. I think I did a few laps of time trial when the track first came out, but that's about it. I might have done one very small race, like a 5-lap race, but I can't really remember. But we haven't done it in the My Team Career Mode yet, so this is the first time we're doing it, and it's for the finale of Season 3. We are not in the running for the championship. It is purely now between Antonio Giovinazzi at Red Bull and Charles Leclerc at Ferrari, so that is the battle that we're going to be watching today. Giovinazzi, I think, has like a 17-point lead over Leclerc, so Leclerc can still win, but Giovinazzi would have to have a very bad, pretty much a no-point scoring weekend, and Leclerc to be way up at the top there for him to have a chance. But anything can happen in Formula 1, and this is, from what I've seen of other people doing, races on this track, it's a pretty brutal track. Things can go pretty crazily wrong for the AI here, so yeah, anything can happen. We do thankfully make it through to Q3, although I do have a 30-place grid penalty because I changed a lot of components going into this race. I didn't want to, but I had to because some of the components were just too worn to run. So no matter what, we're going to be starting right down the back of the grid. But I thought I would just do the qualifying anyway because why not? It's the last race of the season. I don't really need to preserve the parts now. We've got three, I think it's the turbo, the ICE, and the control electronics, I believe, are all brand new, so we don't need to preserve them, and the rest of them, they're decent wear anyway, so it's not really going to affect anything if I just do qualifying anyway, so I thought I'd better at least try my hardest. This is the final run in Q3 here. We have a pretty bad Sector 1, I will be honest. A little bit out of shape. This track is massively fun and massively rewarding when you get it right, and it is a really fun track to drive, let me just say. It really is such a fast flowing track, all really quick corners, as we get it a little bit wrong there as well, just braking a bit too late and not quite getting the apex of the corner. But yeah, it's such a fun track to drive, but it's a difficult one. You have to really be focusing. The concentration on this track is quite crazy. Maybe not to the levels of Monaco, but it's pretty close. It's pretty damn close. There's a bit more breathing room here than there is in Monaco, but yeah, it is still quite, I mean, it's ridiculously quick. There's a lot of corners and fast changes of direction. As I bump into the wall, just like Max Verstappen did in real life, however, it doesn't end our qualifying, and we actually do go quicker than our previous best there. We actually beat Daniel Ricciardo, P7 for us, P8 for Ricciardo. Sergio Perez is starting on pole position. Giovinazzi down in 4th and Leclerc down in 5th. However, there will be some grid penalties, so this will get shifted around a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on here in the finale for Season 3 of My Team Career.
We're here today on the shores of the Red Sea in the lower Hijaz Mountains to visit one of the newest circuits in the Formula 1 calendar. It's Jeddah, home to what we all hope is going to be a thrilling Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. And it's fantastic to have you with us here today, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
From the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn one. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position. Edging out Antonio Giovinazzi, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Gasly, Carlos Sainz, and Joe, Hamilton, Verstappen, Ocon, and Lando Norris. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Lundgaard, Vettel, Lance Stroll, and Bottas. Ricciardo, Russell, Nicholas Latifi, and Mick Schumacher. Tsunoda, they've taken a grid penalty. Mazepin, Fernando Alonso, and Shaw. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Alright, so we're just about ready to go for the first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in this F1 2021 My Team Career Mode to 5 red lights, and away we go. It is not actually the best start for us, a little bit of a slow start from right down the back of the grid. Like I said, a lot of drivers taking grid penalties here as we dive at the inside of a lot of cars actually there, and we're alongside Mick Schumacher going into turn 1, and there is a little bit of bumping going through turn 1, turn 2 there. I think we've just about got away without damage though. We're going to just have a little check on that soon as we go for a big dive up the inside of Nicholas Latifi as well there, but can't quite get it done, get a move done right there. We're going to check our damage right now, but I think we're all good. A little bit of a bump to the side pods perhaps, but no visible damage showing, and we haven't heard anything from the team, so I think we've gotten away with that okay. As now we're once again sizing up another move on Nicholas Latifi, but we're not able to get it done there either. But we're going to get a very good run off the first hairpin here, and we are looking around the outside into the next braking zone, and we're just about going to hold it around the outside and get the position. So fun but so scary battling side by side here as I'm just constantly looking at my heads-up display because yeah, we're having little bits of contact here and there, but thankfully it's nothing too bad. As now we've got George Russell in the other Alfa Romeo ahead of us. Really unfortunate for George Russell because he's in a pretty poor car. He deserves to be in a better car, but unfortunately hasn't had that opportunity yet. We have a little look at the inside of him and Mazepin, but can't quite get anything done. And then Tsunoda has a little look around the outside as we then slightly bump the rear wheel of Russell, but once again checking the heads-up display there, doesn't look to be any damage, as now that's we're going for a move on Mazepin into turn 1. And I think that was Tsunoda going for a move on Russell as well. And it looks like he's got Mazepin too, sorry. So good moving through the field for Tsunoda as well. As we're now on the back of the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. Having a little look into this corner here. That could be a very scary overtaking place, but we couldn't quite get it done that time around. But off the hairpin, down the front main straight. No ERS is available just yet, but this lap it will come available. But we don't need ERS. We've got superior power to that Aston Martin, and we try and go around the outside. We can't quite get it done though. He manages to go quite defensive on the inside through turn 1, and Stroll keeps the position for now. But we're now going to come up to the, well, what is the first DRS zone on the track technically. The first one we're going to be able to use here now that ERS is available, and we're going to dive up the inside into the hairpin on Lance Stroll, and he's going to try and keep it around the outside of the hairpin, but he can't quite do it. We managed to get the position from him, and he's now going to be in a bit of a battle with Yuki Tsunoda behind, and it's Valtteri Bottas in the Williams up ahead. Of course, Williams taking a little bit of a fall from where they were at the start of the season. They were battling in the midfield, but unfortunately have kind of fallen towards the back again towards the end of this season. We're having a little look up the inside of Bottas, and this time we are going to go side by side with him through that scary section right there. He doesn't quite give in though, and he gets the better run, but now we've got the DRS and we're going to sail around the outside. It's really close, it's really tight, it's really fun though, but we've got the position done right there, and now Bottas under attack from Yuki Tsunoda, who's managed to make his way past Lance Stroll. The fun just never ends here, the battles never end. Tsunoda gets past, but now Bottas once again possibly having a look at Tsunoda, but more likely is now under pressure from Lance Stroll, who's going up the inside of him right now into turn 2, and they're side by side throughout this whole section here. Bottas just hanging on for now, but that Aston Martin is a little bit quicker than the Williams at the moment, and sure enough, Stroll manages to get the position done, and he's up another position. Up at the front, Sergio Perez is leading the way quite considerably. Well, not quite considerably, he's only just ahead there. But then you've got Giovinazzi and Leclerc, the two title rivals, battling it out for P2 as they go side by side through turn 1, turn 2, round turn 3. They're still side by side. This is awesome to see these two in such an amazing battle for the championship here, and Leclerc manages to get past up into P2. But this still isn't enough for him. He's 17 points behind Giovinazzi, so even if it finishes like this, Leclerc second, Giovinazzi third, Giovanazzi's still going to win the championship by a considerable margin. So not really what Leclerc wants here. He's going to want Gasly in the cars behind to try and make a move, but instead Giovanazzi's coming back at Leclerc again. Even though he would have been perfectly fine to stay there for the rest of the race, he wants to win this one on the track, not just off the track in the championship. He wants to win it on the track in this final race as well. So Giovinazzi back up into P2. We're going to be taking a good look at that battle throughout this race, that's for sure. As we continue on here, we don't have DRS from the car in front, and Yuki Tsunoda is actually, he's got the better run with the DRS on us, and he has a look around the outside, but can't quite get there. He's alongside through turn 1, but we managed to just about shake him off through turn 2, so we can keep the position on him. And now we've got Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin ahead of us. We're jockeying around with him here. We're going to try and do the same thing we did on Bottas, really close to the wall there. That was super scary. One slight wrong movement and we would have been out of the race, but we're just trying to have a great race here. Lots of overtakes for this final race of the season, and we managed to shoot round the outside of Sebastian Vettel coming up to the final corner. We've got that move done. We're making very good progress up the field. Watching now on with our teammate Daniel Ricciardo in what is his final race of his career. He is retiring from Formula 1 at the end of this season, which is at the end of this race. So this is his final race. He also had a grid penalty starting down in like P18 or something like that. So he's also trying to make his way through the order, just there getting past, I believe that is Christian Lundgaard in the Alpine. As we now have a look at Lando Norris, also started a bit further down because of grid penalties, but he seems to have an issue because he started P10, I think, and he's now down in P12, I think that is. So Lando Norris seems to be having some kind of issue at the moment. We're trying to make a move on him. He just doesn't seem very quick. I mean, we have got the DRS and everything, and he doesn't, but Norris just not seeming particularly quick at the moment. So he might have some kind of issue there. Doesn't really matter for us though, we managed to get past him, and I mean he's not in contention for the championship either, so it's not the end of the world I suppose, just perhaps not the way he would have wanted to finish off his season. As we look back at this battle again, Leclerc managed to get back past Giovinazzi, but Giovinazzi once again coming back into turn 1. This was happening for pretty much the entirety of the race. They would be battling it out lap after lap. Giovinazzi would get past one lap, Leclerc would get past the next lap, and it would just jockey between them for lap after lap, pretty much, well, always I think, into turn 1. It's just how it worked out. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff going on there. A lot going on in this race as now we are making a move on Christian Lundgaard round the outside of the hairpin. A little bit of a different overtake there. He's still there on the inside, but we've got the DRS actually because we were behind at the detection point, and we can just sail away from him up into turn 1, and we've actually got our pit window opening up. We are going to be coming in this lap, and Sergio Perez, just ahead of us, who was the race leader, comes out of the pits just in front of us. So that was the leader of the race coming out of the pits. We come into the pits next lap, round lap 11, or it might have been lap 10. And this, I'm not 100% sure. We're on lap 11 now. I think it was the end of lap 10 we came in. And we are behind Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. We're down in P6. Oh no, we were in P16. We're now making positions up as we are now P11. And we come out right behind Daniel Ricciardo. So he was in front of us before the pit stops, but we had an earlier pit stop than him. And we haven't undercut him, but we have caught up quite drastically. Caught up a good, I'd say, 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds. And now he is the next car up the road for us to deal with him. We've got the DRS. We're going to go around the outside. It's pretty easy. And we also get the fastest lap of the race that time around. A little bit more clean air after getting past Ocon. Could just kind of push for the rest of the lap. Still had a bit of DRS, I think, from Ricciardo as well, and then made the overtake on him over the line. So yeah, that gives us the fastest lap of the race. So we're showing some good pace here, that is for sure. But Ricciardo's not going to go down without a fight. He's now going towards the inside, going into the hairpin. He's actually got the position before we even get to the final corner. But it now does mean that I will have the DRS, so I can potentially fight back into turn 1 again. This could end up being one final ding-dong battle for me and Ricciardo before he retires from Formula 1. We get him once again into turn 1. So he gets us through the final corner, but we get him again into turn 1. But this battle will just keep going and going. Lap number, 16 now? Ricciardo once again round the outside, locks up a little bit, but just positions his car in the perfect way that we can't really do anything. So we're just stuck behind Ricciardo now, but we're having a great battle. I think it's going to be difficult to progress any further. We're actually P10 and P9 and 10 here at the moment. Guan Yu Zhou is up ahead, but yeah, he's a bit too far up the road, and with us battling as much as we're doing here, as we're going side by side through turn 1, turn 2, and it's a great little battle here. We just about managed to come out on top in that one. But yeah, with this, I think with clear air, I probably could have caught up to Zhou, but not a whole lot of laps to go, and also just in the battle with Ricciardo was never going to happen. As we continue on with this battle of the championship, these two still absolutely going at it. Charles Leclerc trying to, I think, make the move here, or maybe Giovinazzi, I'm not 100% sure. Leclerc is on the outside, and he has got the position back up into P2 for the Monegasque driver, but like I said before, this still isn't enough. If Leclerc was to finish P2, Giovinazzi, I mean, what, you get 18 points for finishing P2? I think he's 17 points down in the championship. So basically, if Giovinazzi finished P10, then they would have been, I think, level on points. And I don't really know who would get the win there. I think Leclerc might actually, because I think he might have one extra win. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it would be it would literally be, if Leclerc finishes P2, Giovinazzi has to finish no better than P10 for Leclerc to potentially win the title. So, gonna be honest, it's not looking too great for Leclerc right now. It is looking good for Giovinazzi. It's also looking quite good for Daniel Ricciardo here as he goes for another move on me. Lap 23 of 25. We're coming to the closing stages of this race, and we're doing just like what Giovinazzi and Leclerc are doing. We're just swapping places pretty much every lap here. As we go on to lap 24, the penultimate lap, we're a little bit further back this time. We dive on the outside, but Ricciardo manages to brake late, and he's still there. We try and give him plenty of room, and we're having a great little battle here. He's still somewhat alongside, but we just about managed to get the position. But there is still one lap left to go, so this is really going to come down to the wire between us and for second place there with these two as well. But Giovinazzi just has to stay where he is, and he has won the championship, but he still wants to win this thing on track. As we go to the final lap of Season 3, Giovinazzi makes the move into Turn 1. He's up into P2. He's leading the championship. He will be winning the Drivers' Championship if it stays like this, and he's beating Leclerc on track as well, just for bragging rights. more than anything else. But there is still a whole lap to go as we now head on to the final lap of the Grand Prix, and I believe that is Daniel Ricciardo. He's got in front of us into turn 1. That is not really what we wanted, because it's very difficult to find. I mean, there are a couple of other DRS zones, but the only one that seems to have the biggest effect, unless you're really close, is that front straight. So it's going to be very difficult for us to get back Ricciardo here, so I think it's going to be a close finish. But as we continue on here with these guys in second, third, the championship rivals right now, Giovinazzi is still sitting in P2. He is easily winning the championship at this current point in time. There's only a few corners left to go. Leclerc has done everything he could have. He fought this series like a lion. He was leading at the start of the season because he had such a great season. Giovinazzi didn't have the greatest start to the season, but he's come through midway through the season, and Antonio Giovinazzi is going to come through to win the Drivers' Championship in Season 3. Antonio Giovinazzi is a Drivers' World Champion in a Red Bull. That is something absolutely crazy. I was much more expecting Leclerc to win this. I would have much more expected Perez to win in the Red Bull, but it's actually Antonio Giovinazzi who wins the Drivers' Championship. The battle, though, between me and my teammate Daniel Ricciardo comes right down to the wire. We go for a big dive bomb into the final corner, but he manages to get the cut back on us. We've got the DRS, though, because we were behind at the detection point, and we're going to come right up behind him. It's going to be the closest finish ever, and it's ridiculously close. I do not even know who has won that. That was a photo finish. That was absolutely ridiculous. That was so close. I honestly do not know who won that. Well, I do, because I've seen the timings, but just looking at that, crazy.
It's certainly been an incredible year for Formula One, and our drivers have all pushed themselves this season, making it one of the most compelling years of racing in history. There can only be one champion, however, and here they are now, our new Formula One World Drivers' Champion. Victory today then, but bittersweet emotions, I'm sure, as the championship slips through their fingers. Even so, what a fantastic final race of the season this was. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
So there we go, Sergio Perez wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Giovinazzi comes home in second, Charles Leclerc in third, but it is Antonio Giovinazzi who wins the Drivers' Championship for 2023. That is ridiculous. He moved to Mercedes in Season 2 and did not perform well against Lewis Hamilton. He moves to Red Bull in Season 3 and he doesn't dominate, but he's won by a reasonable margin here, so pretty crazy. But if you look at the finishing times between me and Ricciardo, it is ridiculous. There is 1/1000th of a second between it. I think mine is like, it's hard to read because it's very blurry, but I think it's like 5:41 to 5:42. That is the closest finish I've ever seen. Unfortunately, I didn't get a photo finish picture, but you can just see by the times there and just by the end of the race, it was ridiculously close. That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. What an end to this season. And we look at the driver standings, nothing changes here. Giovinazzi wins the championship by 21 points, is that? Once again, it's hard to see because of the preview. Leclerc comes home in P2, Perez P3, Verstappen P4, Lando Norris P5, Daniel Ricciardo P6, we come home in P7, it's Lewis Hamilton in P8, Carlos Sainz in P9, and Guan Yu Zhou rounds out the top 10. So, yeah, what a crazy, crazy championship this has been. It's been awesome to see different teams fighting for the wins and for the title. You know, the last two seasons have been pure Mercedes domination, pretty much. But this season we had Ferrari, we had Red Bull, we had McLaren at points also fighting for the title. Mercedes didn't win a single race all season. So, and I think they only had one podium with Lewis Hamilton in, I think it was USA actually, the race we didn't actually do. So, yeah, crazy ridiculous. We finished P4 in the constructors standings. Red Bull finished P1. McLaren actually get P2 with Ferrari P3. Mercedes down in P5. So big slump for them. But let's say that I'm very excited for Season 4, which is technically Season 5, but we're calling it Season 4. That video hopefully will be out in the next week or so. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.